Dupuytren's contracture, I first learned about when my father had it many, many years ago, and he was operated on. And I did a little research on it and found out that you inherit it in some cases, and it is a genetic disease, I guess, if you call it that. And I understand it comes from the people who have Scandinavian or Northern or like British Isles ancestors. I found out I had it about when I was about in my 50s, and so what I did was I went to a surgeon, an orthopedic surgeon in Hartford, Connecticut area, and he was a very good surgeon, and so he operated on first my right hand, and then he operated on my left hand, and those kinds of operations were where he fully exposed the Dupuytren's, which is, I guess, some weird collagen that wraps around the tendons in the hand. And so what he did was he pulled it out, and so he had to open up the entire palm of the hand and some of the fingers to get it. I had a second one on both hands, probably about 10 years after that, each one, because it came back. I live in Ludlow, and I do come up to Dartmouth. It's about an hour, but when you live in where I used to live in Connecticut, and if you're 15 miles away from Hartford, you have all these lights and everything. Here it's a beautiful drive. There's not one light until you get off the highway. And it's a very easy, pleasant drive. So we go for Ludlow because I think at Dartmouth, Hitchcock has probably got the best medical care around. I think their reputation is outstanding. And that's why I come for everything. So then I decided my left hand started to get a little more curled. It causes the hands to curl up like that. And so what you need to do is to release the pressure in that. So I came up here, I looked in the directory and found an orthopedic surgeon here at Dartmouth who's specialized in hands. Well, I thought that when I came to see the orthopedic hand person, Dr. Warhol, that he was very, very good, because he said, I think you might benefit from an operation that Dr. Kerrigan does. And he said, I'd like you to meet her. So he called up and got me an appointment. And Dr. Kerrigan, immediately I realized she was a very, very nice, good, competent, and caring surgeon. She explained that the kind of operation that she did was not to open up the entire hand, but to put a needle in there and to break the collagen so that it wasn't contracting the hand. So the recovery time of that was a couple of days, whereas with the full surgery, it was 6 weeks with my hand in a cast. When I came into Dartmouth for Dr. Kerrigan to work on me, she, on that day, it was in her procedure room, and they have you lie down on your back, and they asked me to put my hand out like this, and then the nurse was making me comfortable, and but they do not give me any anesthesia. As I said, they don't want you to be asleep. They want to know if they're hitting a nerve. It was curled over like this. The hand was actually almost like that. And what she did was, working along these pads here, she would go in and find the collagen, which is wrapped around the tendons, and she would cut it so that I could straighten out the hand. And then she worked a little bit in these pads up here too, which would have been actually the original surgery I had. They went way down here. There's scar tissue there because they had to get the whole thing out. And the first operation I had, they pulled out a strip that's about that long out of here, wrapped around the tendons. It's collagen, I guess. But this time, because of all the scar tissue, it was much easier to just go in and she would put a little anesthesia in there, and then she'd go in and she would cut this collagen, which is wrapped around the tendon. And so she worked all the way along here and up here. The only problem what she had was right in here was the bundle of nerves, and it was a little more difficult to get to that. And so she had to stop, but we were happy with what we had done. The procedure took about an hour. With my right hand, this index finger is now starting to curl because the collagen is wrapping around the tendon and pulling it. I've had this hand operated on twice, back 15, 20 years ago, and then 10 years ago. I think around 1997 was the last time. And if it gets worse, then I would come to Dr. Kerrigan and have them do the same procedure along here. Before I had the surgery, my hand had curled like this. Actually, this one point and this one. They didn't go at the same time. But I did notice, for example, when I would try to shake hands with someone and these fingers would get curled up underneath it was very embarrassing. Occasionally I got pains in the pads of the palm, but during the operation, for example, what you want to do is hit a nerve. And so Dr. Kerrigan would keep on asking me, well, do you feel anything? Do you feel a tingling or do you feel any pain? I said, no. Or a numbness? No. And then at one point, in a particularly tough spot, I felt the pain, and I told her, and she immediately stopped and said, well, probably that bundle of nerves there is too wrapped up with it, and so we didn't get that last little bit out, but that bit cut, but it didn't matter because I have good use of this hand now. I've told my son about it because he may inherit Dupuytren's contracture from me. I hope he doesn't, but if he does, then what I suggest to him is perhaps look into this instead of the full surgery, because you don't get all that scar tissue and you don't have that long recovery time. So I have been able to get back to activities, and it's the biggest problem sometimes when you have Dupuytren's is grasping something, and so because you can't widen up your thumb enough to grab something. So it's not painful. It's just a nuisance not to be able to have that grasping power. So when I had the left hand fixed this last time, it was just great to be able to pick up a glass or whatever, or golf club maybe. Maybe I can play a little bit better golf